Welcome back. There's yet another corporate that's on our radar. Yesterday, they had good news. This is SJVN, Satluj Jal Vidyut Nigam. The cabinet has approved an investment proposal of 1,320 megawatts Buxar thermal power project in Bihar, and this will be implemented by SJVN. That was the cabinet's okay yesterday. Nandlal Sharma, Chairman Managing Director of SJVN, joins us on the phone line. Mr. Sharma, good morning. Thanks so much for joining us. It says that this is a cost of 10,500 crores almost. I mean, how is this money? You have to shell it out. The government gives you, and you are only a contractor. What is the money part of this contract?
This investment of 10,500 crore, 70% we will raise borrowing from the market, and rest of the 30% we will meet from our own equity from internal resources. We have sufficient funds.
How much is debt now? That will be quite a bit you will have to raise.
Pardon?
How much is your debt now, and how much will it rise to when you raise this cash?
At present, that is around 2,000 crore rupees, and we have to raise around 7,000 crore rupees for this project.
Okay, and you said 30% will be funded through internal accruals. What is the cash on the books now?
Cash on books is around 3,000 crore, and our reserves and surpluses are about 6,700 crore rupees.
Okay.
Do you have a PPA for this project already?
Yes, we have already entered into PPA with the Government of Bihar. Government of Bihar will purchase minimum 85% power from this project.
Okay. In terms of a timeline, when will the plant, the Buxar plant, come on stream?
This plant will be completed in 4 years and 6 months. So by September 2023, first unit will be commissioned, and the second unit of 660 megawatt will be commissioned after 6 months of the first unit commissioning.
So exactly when, I mean, in terms of year, this is FY20?
This is we will complete in FY 23-24.
Oh, okay. It's a long way away.
Can you give us an outlook on what's happening with power generation in this quarter? It is a seasonally weak quarter, right? What's the outlook like?
Yes, now the discharge in the rivers have started increasing. Now, this is a lean period when the discharge in the rivers, Himalayan rivers, is very, very low. But it will increase now.
Okay. Well, you know, your 9 months revenues were not much to write home. They were flat. Will the fourth quarter be much better?
We expect so. With respect to discharge, this year has been the very, very lean year for the Himalaya river. Okay.
Oh, really? That's not very good news. What are your receivables at this point in time from the various discoms?
This is around 400 crores.
That's it, because most of the private power generators were complaining that they have to receive 40,000 crores since November. We just had the APPAI Secretary General with us, and he was complaining of huge dues. You have only 400 crore of dues.
We are regularly receiving funds from the discoms to whom we are supplying power.
Okay.
Our recoverables are very, very less.
Okay. I just wanted to ask you finally, any news on NTPC taking over NHPC or SJVN, sorry, not NHPC, SJVN, that was doing the rounds. There was an expectation that you may be bought over.
I can't comment on it.
All right.
Okay. Then one final question. Can you give us the status of the stranded projects at the moment? How many are there? What's the quantum? What's the size of the stranded projects? And also, has the government worked on that 16,000 crore bailout project that was being talked about last year?
Group of ministers worked on it. I think for a number of projects, some solution has been worked out. The projects which are stranded, they are for different reasons. In some projects, the supply coal linkage was not there. In some of the projects, PPAs were not there. The problem of funding was there. So there are different reasons for different projects. I think government has already worked on it and found the solution.
All right. Okay, we'll leave it at that, Mr. Sharma. Pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much for joining us. Well, we have to turn our attention to Glennmark, right? Glennmark's Goa plant is getting inspected by US FDA. This is, I'm quite sure, sourced by Ekta for us.
Yeah.
That's important news. It's as Ekta is explaining on the flashes itself, it's a big contributor to Glennmark's top line, and therefore, well, it's an inspection.
Yeah, she says it's a routine, current, good manufacturing practice inspection. So, well, we'll wait by for her to come and tell us more about that. But in the meantime, let's also invite Vikas Khemani, the founder of Carnelian Capital Advisors, who joins us now. Vikas, hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for being with us on the show and in the studio. How are you feeling about the markets just as we head into elections?
I think there has been change of the mood post, the Pulwama response. I think markets are now feeling at least a lot more confident about the continuity of the government, and I think that is the only reason this change of sentiment has happened. Anyway, markets were very oversold. If you remember our previous conversations, we've always been chatting that markets are oversold in the zone where risk reward is falling into place, and so I think this is good. And internationally also, I think we are getting good. Sort of news flow in terms of Fed's response, how it's going to be to deal with the overall situation. So I think all those things slowly worries are kind of settling down, and once we have more clarity around the big election outcome, and which will keep on building, market will keep on building hypothesis from now to election. So I think first round of pullback has happened, and maybe markets will consolidate. But overall, I feel that markets are now in a reasonably good situation, and one should keep on looking at risk reward of right now falling in place. And one thing I want to say that when markets have started responding positively to positive news flow, and that also kind of tells you what kind of sentiment right now is. Okay. So we'll have to wait and watch, but I think overall looks all right.
Okay, Vikas, good morning. So this rally has been refreshing because this time it's come with the broader market participation. In fact, the mid-cap index is now up about 10% from the lows. Junior is up quite a bit. But we saw the similar trend play out last year as well in October, November. Is there a risk of a repeat, or you think this is a start of a fresh mid-cap rally?
No, so look, it's never in isolation. One has to see what kind of events, development it gets followed by. I mean, if let's say we have positive news flow coming through, if decent government continuity happens, and economic data keeps on supporting, I think it will continue. But it's all early to say that worst is over and we should just look forward. But I believe that economy is on right track. Once this big event is behind us. And this is a very binary event, according to me, from a market sentiment perspective in a shorter term. So currently, the reason why markets have responded so well because the significance of the event, and markets are getting comfortable around that. So I think we will. I'm not very negative on the market, but at the same time, I don't want to get excited. It's too early and say that we have got back to our mid-cap rally, and we are good old days are back. So I think we are far away from that.
Actually, I wanted to ask you the other way around. Today, of course, we have a Credit Suisse report which is trying to point out that in a secular basis, markets really don't have much to do with the election results.
Yes.
There are temporary blips, and then they respond to earnings only. On that issue, auto sales, have they really troughed out? We still seem to get bad news over there. Debt market problems, is the fragility entirely over, or is there some accident lurking around the corner?
So when this kind of shock happens to system, well, you go back in history and check any time, whatever happened last year and post-October, this kind of banking shock and credit shock which happens to the system, it can never go back so quickly unless there is a big coordinated response, which has not been the case. So I think, in my opinion, and today also, by the way, economy is starved of credit flows and liquidity. So I don't think we will see a V-shaped kind of recovery. It will take time for it to recover slowly, and we need to see lots of liquidity, credit flow in the system. We are not anywhere close to what we need to be to get decent kind of growth back, both earnings as well as the economic growth. So I do believe that,
and that's why I'm worried about the rally. Are we being over enthusiastic?
So that's what I'm saying. You should not be over enthusiastic. While the risk reward of at point in market sentiment has changed. You should not say that now we are back to good old days. It will take time. And as markets will respond as the turn of event happens, as the more and more confidence builds, because risk appetite has kind of seriously been broken in the last 5-6 months, and it always takes time for risk to come back on the table. So I think you are in that kind of environment. Don't get too excited. I will still say that like last time, from now to next 3-4 months is a great time to kind of keep on doing investments into the markets, because this vintage is a very good vintage.
Okay, I do want to ask you about individual pockets, but before that there was some news that was flashing on our screen with respect to Glennmark's Goa plant getting inspected by the US FDA. Ekta is picking up that source-based information for us, so she joins in now. Ekta, what are you picking up?
Hi, thanks for that. Well, like you mentioned, it is the Goa plant of Glennmark which is getting inspected by the US FDA. This particular inspection began yesterday itself. It's a routine inspection as per my sources, because the last time the Goa plant was inspected was all the way back in December of 2016. Remember, Glennmark's Goa facility is quite important for Glennmark in the larger scheme of things, because 20 to 25% of their total US volumes are generated from this particular facility. I do understand from my sources, though, that the inspector is basically the same person who inspected the Markson's facility, where that particular inspection got over in Goa just yesterday. That particular unit received 8 observations, so that auditor has now moved to Glennmark's Goa plant.
Okay, thanks a lot for that, Ekta. Because how much do pharmaceuticals form part of your likes and dislikes?
I think still, it's not part of the current, liking kind of thing.
Okay,
but
it's not your like sector.
It's not likes at this point in time. But I believe next 6 to 12 months, you are getting somewhere where, lots of pain is behind. But still, I don't think, I've got the conviction to say go and buy it in a big way. Still, some headwinds are there. And still, I think, so we are still not very comfortable in terms of going and having a big bite on that.
I do want to ask you about these companies where there's fresh blood taking charge, new CEOs like, say, Axis Bank, Yes Bank. They've been the big gainers this year, already giving 20-30% returns. You like these names?
Oh, absolutely. I think, so my favorite theme always has been, when you see a big management change in an otherwise good asset. I mean, in a good asset, good business model, when you see a big management change which can kind of turn around or change the course of the company, I think those are my, one of the favorite theme in investing on markets, because I think that is where the magic happens, and that is where you get both growth and re-rating in place. And I do believe that, I think structurally those businesses were broken for some time, so you have a cyclical change happening. Secondly, leadership change happening. So I think both of them put together, in my opinion, can provide significant returns over next 3-4 years. I mean, I've said that multiple points in time, but always look for good management changes. And if there's and you have to validate, keep on validating that whether they are delivering what they have said. And in both cases you mentioned, I remain very, very positive and bullish, and with the disclaimer that we own that. So.
Okay, well, I remember one of the first stories I covered was UTI Bank being taken over by Dr. Nayak, and it was a rally like I've never seen. I mean, the stock doubled and trebled with such alacrity. So take your point entirely, Vikas. But just to come back to autos and auto ancillaries, are you already a buyer in that space, because it's still in distress?
It is in distress. I think again you have to see pockets of automobiles also. I mean, currently what we like is, I think, Bajaj Automobiles and Ashok Leyland, because there we are a lot more confident from terms of, correction has happened, and Ashok Leyland has corrected significantly, and we believe that volumes will come back. Same way, I think some of the other spaces other names have kind of their own challenges, so not very, comfortable around those names. Maruti probably might have some challenge. So you got to be very specific in, auto. But having said that, broad trend, I would say that, whatever we saw, in my opinion, was a blip. You will start seeing over next 2, 3, 4 quarters volume settling down and coming back. So I don't think it's a, sort of structural breakdown. I think this was a response to a high base, and secondly, big shock to the system.
Okay, thank you very much, Vikas, for giving us so much perspective on the markets and on stocks. Pleasure having you with us.
Thank you for having me here, and happy Women's Day to you and your viewers.
Oh, thanks a lot. Okay, we are heading into a mandatory break. We are coming back. We'll have the pre-opening rates. We will also have Mr. S.P. Tulsian joining in. We'll get you F&O trades as well in a minute.